We can probably start recording because we probably got about 30 seconds till we call the order.
The clock strikes.
There we go. The clock tells us. All right. It must be that time. Let's all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance as we call this January 13th Crestview Local Board of Education meeting and organizational meeting to order, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, please.
Dr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. DiTilio,
Here.
Mr. Hively,
Here.
Mr. Straney,
Here.
Mrs. Wellman,
Here.
and Miss Downey. Here.
All right, at this point, we'll start with the organizational part of the meeting, and we will open up the floor to nominations for president of the board. Do we have a nomination for president?
Missy Wellman.
Missy, do you accept?
I accept.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second. This is Doug.
Doug got the second there. Do we have any further nominations? Hearing none, do we have a, we'll call to the vote. Roll call, please.
Hively,
Yes.
Wellman,
Abstain.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
and Miller.
Yes. All right, congratulations, Mrs. Wellman. Floor is yours.
Thanks. Well, I guess I would first thank you, Ed, for your service and commitment to the position over the last couple of years. Being that this will be my first year, I would hope nothing more than that you would be my mentor, how to manage this new role. I'm also honored, I would say, else to be nominated by my peers. I've heard horror stories about boards, but I am super grateful to work with a group that respects each other and to work with a district that knows that what's best for our kids is to work as a team effort. So in all the many ways that I've served over the years for the district, it's always been about our kids. So in this new role, I will continue to do exactly the same and make certain that Crestview continues to be the district that stands out above everybody else. So thank you.
We now can proceed forward with the elections at this time. And that, Madam President, will you take the lead, please?
Sure. Do we have a nomination for vice president?
Ed Miller.
Do we, is there a second?
Second, sorry. I'm new at this.
This is
That's
Joel. I'll
okay.
second that.
Do we have a second?
This is Joel. I'll second.
Who made the motion? I'm sorry, I missed who made the motion. Was that Doug?
Yep.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you. Sorry for the interruption.
If no objections, do we have roll call for?
Okay. Miller? You're on.
Abstain.
Okay.
Abstain. It wouldn't unmute. I'm sorry. Abstain.
That's okay. Straney?
Yes.
Hively?
Yes.
DiTilio?
Yes.
And Wellman.
Yeah. Next order of business is to designate the official newspaper. Do we have,
I nominate the Morning Journal.
thank you, the nomination. I'm sorry, my dog has apparently run away and Shelby is freaking out behind the camera, not knowing where she is, so. The Morning Journal, thank you. Do we have a second?
This is Joel. I'll
Doug,
second.
Which one do you want me to use? Mrs. Wellman, Mr. Hively is the second?
Sure.
Okay.
Roll call?
DiTilio,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
Hively,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Legal services, do I read this?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Recommend a resolution that the board employ the firm of Peters, Kalale, and Marquesis Company LPA as legal counsel and hereby authorize the superintendent, treasurer, and board president to engage the services of said firm on an as-needed basis. Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Joel. I'll motion.
And a second?
Doug, I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Miller,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Hively,
Yes.
and Miller. Or I'm Wellman, I'm
That's
sorry.
again.
Old habits die hard. I apologize, Mrs. Wellman. Wellman, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize.
Service fund. I'm not really sure what it's here.
Basically to establish the Board of Education Service Fund in the amount of $5,000.
Great. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll move.
Ed Miller, sorry.
And second?
This is Doug, second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
I haven't got to make a motion for 5 years. I'm trying to get in on a bunch of them. Sorry if I cut anybody off.
Hively,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes.
Madam President, it's to have some discussion on a time and a day of the board meeting recommended, and that to do that. And then once we have a recommendation, there can be a vote in letter G.
Okay. Do we want to start with a recommendation for a day and time?
We have always had the second Wednesday of the month as our primary date, and the Monday following that is our secondary date. Just keeping with historical precedent, I would make a motion to keep the same.
Okay. Do we have a second for that motion?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call?
DiTilio,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
Hively,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next item, recommend to designate superintendent and/or his designee to be in charge of surplus property and to be responsible for all federal program applications and reports. Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
This is Doug, I'll second.
Any discussion?
Hively,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next item, recommend to authorize the superintendent to employ personnel as needed in emergency situations. Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Doug. So moved.
Second?
I'll second. Ed,
Any discussion? Roll call?
Lively,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
Miller,
yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next item, recommend to authorize the superintendent to, wait, did I just?
No, you're on. You're correct.
Good. Recommend to authorize the superintendent to act as purchasing agent for the Board of Education within annual appropriation, necessary purchases in cases of emergency. We have a motion to approve.
This is Preston. I'll move.
And a second.
Joel, second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
DiTilio,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Recommend to authorize the superintendent and athletic director to approve personal service contracts for athletic events. We have a motion to approve
This is Doug. So moved.
Oh, give that to Joel.
and
Go ahead.
second.
That's okay. I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Lively,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next item, recommend to authorize the superintendent to approve travel of employees to conduct official school business and or attend authorized professional meetings. We have a motion to approve.
This is Joel. I'll move.
Do we have a second?
Preston, I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
DiTilio,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Straney,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Recommend to approve Joel Hively to serve as OSBA Student Achievement Liaison for 2021. Do we have a motion to approve?
Ed Miller, all motion.
And do we have a second?
This is Doug. I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Lively,
Same.
Straney,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Recommend to appoint Preston Straney to serve as OSBA Legislative Liaison for 2021. A motion to approve.
I
This is the-
motion because it's thrilling to hear SB 105 and HB 142.
Do we have a second as enthusiastic as that?
Doug. I'll second.
Disappointing, Doug, but
Sorry.
any discussion? Roll call?
Lively,
Yes.
Straney,
I'll abstain.
okay, DiTilio,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next item, recommend superintendent recommends the following committees. Do I need to read all of them?
No, Madam President.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve?
Preston, I'll motion.
And a second?
Joel, second.
Any discussion? Roll call,
As
please.
long as I get to stay on insurance committee, no, we're all good.
DiTilio,
I was wondering how to get on the insurance committee, but I'm a yes.
Straney, or I'm sorry, DiTilio, Miller, sorry.
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
Straney.
Yeah.
And Wellman.
Yes. Okay, next we will adjourn from this portion of the meeting. Do we have a motion to approve?
Pick me, as Jim Whitekert would always say.
Second?
This is Doug. I'll second.
And can we just all in favor on that?
Sure.
Aye.
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 All good? Okay. Thank you.
So this will complete the portion of our finance and organizational meeting, and then we will just move right into the board meeting, correct? The
Yes.
regular,
Yes.
okay. Okay, we don't have any public participation tonight?
No one signed in, Mrs. Wellman.
Okay. Student achievement, do we have presentations for that?
We
Yes,
do, Madam President.
We have 2 of our 4 here. The freshmen and the seniors could not be here because of athletics. Our freshman student, though, was Caleb Hughes, and his teacher said Caleb works hard in person, in school, and remotely. He actively participates in class and is a good role model for his peers. Our sophomore, Meredith Hart, is here with her mom. I saw her. I can't see her at the moment, but they are here. And Meredith is hardworking and always has a positive attitude, whether in the classroom or on the volleyball court. She's always willing to help others and excited to learn. And I saw where Ryan logged on. Ryan, thanks for coming. Meredith and your mom. Ryan's teacher said Ryan shows up ready to participate in class each day. He's consistent and dedicated to his education. And Braden Ermson was our senior, and his teacher said Braden continues to impress me with his knowledge and abilities academically, and he is passionate about learning. I would like to just point out that the teachers at this time, they really spoke highly of these students and their efforts, especially with their remote and participation and dedication to their academics. And Meredith and Ryan, if you guys want to unmute. And I just want to say thank you guys for everything. Looking forward to seeing you next week. You guys doing okay out there?
Yeah,
You have your mom with you, or is your dad too, or just your mom?
my mom's here.
That's nice. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you.
Brian, I saw where I didn't know if you had anybody with you or if you were just hanging out.
Yeah, I'm just here alone.
Okay. No soccer practice tonight.
Nope.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming. You guys
Yep.
don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, so don't feel like you have to. Unless you want to. Thank you.
Thanks, Mrs. Nappy. Congratulations to those guys, whether present or not. And then we will move on to the consent agenda. You have before you a copy of tonight's consent agenda. Would any board member like to remove any item from that to be reviewed separately? Hearing no such motion, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Preston, I'll motion.
Do we have a second?
Joel, second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Next you have the treasurer's requests that not included in the consent agenda.
Item number 1, I'd like to request the board approve the financial reports and investments as prepared and presented.
Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Joel, a motion.
And a second?
This is Doug. I'll second it.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Miller,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes.
Item number 2, I'd like to request the board accept the donations as they're listed there for you.
Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Preston. I'll move.
And a second?
I'll second Ed Miller.
Any discussion? Roll call.
DiTilio,
Yes.
Lively,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Rainey,
Yes.
and Wellman.
Yes. Okay.
That's all I had.
Okay, thank you. Jeff, I guess I have to wait for you to say that. Board reports, Career Center report. I guess I'm still okay to present this. Looking through just 2 points, I would say. They approved a contract with the Mahoning County Educational Service Center for services to students qualifying under Opportunities for Ohioans with Disabilities in the amount of $6,000 for October 1 of 2020 through September 30th of 2021. And the other item was that they accepted a donation of 400 pounds of aluminum from Penex of Leetonia that will be used in the precision machining and manufacturing program. And that's all I have for that.
Okay.
Next report, I would love to get there. Give me a second. Student achievement report, Mr. Hively.
No report this month.
Legislative report, Mr. Straney.
All right, folks, buckle up. Now,
The moment we've all been waiting for.
I know. Big thing, Governor DeWine signed House Bill 231, which requires that the ODE complete and publicize a list of all entities that provide either free or reduced EpiPens, which is huge because, as Dr. Miller can attest, EpiPens are rather expensive. The other thing they did that law does is gives the schools ability to give nasal glucagon, which is huge because diabetes is a real kick in the butt sometimes, and somebody goes unresponsive and you don't have glucagon on hand, it's really hard to get them to come back. The other thing that changed is quarantine requirements, but I'm sure Matt will probably get into that more during his report, so I'll leave that up to him, and that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Student board member, Ms. Downey.
So I don't have too much, but I just wanted to again say thank you to like the teachers, staff, administration, and the board for getting through online school. I think almost like 2 months now. So, and everything's been like really easy to handle, and that's all been good. And also just thank you to keeping everyone who's been keeping sports and the musical and events like homecoming, which for a lot of for anyone who's watching, for students and family, we're having a game night on January 23rd, and it should be on the class page on the Google Classroom for more information. So that's coming up. So just thank you for keeping those full force, but still being safe with COVID. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Board committee reports, building and grounds, Dr. Miller.
Okay, we had a virtual meeting on the 29th of December. Several items on the agenda. First, we compared the HVAC systems that we are considering for the new building and went over the presentations of those, and actually just doing the due diligence and trying to find the most cost advantageous, not only for installation, but for upkeep and maintenance. So that was a big topic of discussion, pretty much dominated a lot of it. Another topic we had was the discussion of the water line project, which everybody always is keen on knowing both the short and long term and what it means. And then briefly, we had just touched on the meeting with Representatives Rulli and Ginter that I believe Mr. Manley had this week. And he thought that that went really well, and that they've been a tremendous help, whether we get pushed forward in the line or not, that they've been a real asset. That's all.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. Athletic Council, Mr. DiTilio.
No report.
Okay. Personnel.
I think personnel, we met that same week, I think. I don't remember which day it was. I don't have that sitting in front of me, but basically we talked about just staffing and, you know, the challenges that are created both with online schooling, not only for staff, but for students and everybody associated with that. And, you know, we did make a change here recently with calling back Mr. Ciapala, who's going to help those individuals who are credit deficient. And I think that was all that we touched on, basically.
Okay, thank you. Finance and Audit, Mr. DiTilio.
No report.
Policy, Mr. DiTilio.
No report.
Communications, Mr. DiTilio.
Broken record, no report.
Insurance, Dr.
No report.
And Business Advisory, Mr. Hively.
No meeting, so no report.
Okay. Administrative reports, Mr. Pancake.
Yeah, the first item I'd like to discuss is we received our fall third grade test results back. We had a passage rate of 45%, which is down from years past, but we had 89 total students. 6 of those students did not take the test for various reasons, whether it was uncomfortable coming into the building. But those 6 kids highly impact that 45%. The state average was only 37%. So, I mean, for what it's worth, we were above there, but obviously due to the pandemic and, you know, the situation that we were in, that number is down a little bit from last year. The hope is we're going to work with Title and come up with a plan to provide interventions to these kiddos in order to raise that number to that 80% standard by the year's end. The second item I have is STEM designation. If you remember correctly, Mrs. Dangerfield last year, along with Mr. Dilling from the county and Mr. Manley, provided an application to the Ohio Department of Education in order to try to get our elementary school designated a STEM school. Obviously, that did not pass last year, but Mr. Manley, myself, Mrs. Gilbert, and Mr. Dilling met on Tuesday, kind of revised the application, and then I met with K1 and 2 teachers in order to get what exactly they're doing in the classroom that would be designated STEM ideas or projects. Those meetings went very well. I feel very confident about the application. Basically tried to finish it up this evening. Mr. Manley and I are going to meet tomorrow to finalize that and submit it for review by Friday afternoon. And then the final piece that I have is we're working with the county in order to purchase our new ELA curriculum for the 21-22 school year. We're in the very early stages of that, but we have a meeting coming up on Friday in order to form a committee of elementary teachers in hopes to have that in place by the end of this school year. Any questions?
No, I'd just like to say, though, that you guys are well on your way to that STEM designation this year, I think. There is great work being done with the county with grant money, another project-based learning opportunity coming up with Silver Apple. And I don't see any reason why that shouldn't happen this year after all of how close we came last year. So.
Yes, I agree. Thank you.
Okay, middle school, Mrs. Lemaster.
Hello. So just a couple things that are not on my board report. I spoke with Kim Mayer yesterday. We got all of our Iowa and COGAT testing back just before Christmas break. So we were able to send the scores home with our in-person kids and got all of our remote kids mailed out. And Kim sent me her schedule today. We had a surprising amount of students actually who qualified for the next round of testing. So Kim will be coming out next week and the following week to do some follow-up testing on our 5th graders to get them their gifted identification so that we can start serving those students and make sure they're getting what they need for the remainder of the school year. Our middle school teachers, along with Tim in the elementary, will be working on that committee for the ELA curriculum, looking to do something K-8 with some similarities that give us a little bit more continuity than we've had in years past. And the final thing is I was asked by our tour company to just kind of put a bug out and get a little bit of feedback on our Washington, D.C. trip. It is scheduled for May of this year for our 8th grade students as well as our freshman students, because the freshmen, obviously their trip got canceled last year. So Laura and I put it on the calendar for this May with high hopes of being able to take both grade levels of students. And I've been in communication with our tour company, and they have indicated that the buses and hotels are currently holding our place without a deposit being required. They're obviously being very flexible because of the situation and not wanting to have to refund us and us refund all the parents. But she did ask for me to kind of get some information from the board to see if we wanted them to keep us on for now and kind of play it by ear, or if you know, obviously if it's a definite no, then she will let the companies know at this time. So I don't need a definite answer right now, but something that I was asked to have you think about.
I'm in. I was supposed to go last year.
I know. Okay. I was really hoping you were going to say that.
Yeah.
What dates are you looking at?
Sorry, it's, I believe, the 3rd week of May, but let me double check here. May 17th and 18th. So leaving first thing in the morning on Monday, May 17th, and returning late Tuesday night on the 18th. So we tried to push it out. It's the last day of school is May 26th, so we didn't want to go those last 2 days of school, but trying to push it out as far as we can with the hope, obviously, that we'll have a little bit of normalcy back. I'm sure there'll obviously still be precautions in place, but hopefully they'll be, you know, being able to travel on a bus and take precautions and still get the kids that opportunity.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next, high school, Mappy.
There's not too much more than what's already on the report. The only thing is the middle school, 5th grade, and high school, Mr. Cooper's class, some of his students, we're going to be working with Silver Apple. Our kickoff is January 25th for the Hellbender Salamander project with the water sampling and what's happening with them as a local species. And we're pretty excited about it with the collaboration with our students and doing all of the things, the opportunity for education and how it ties into our curriculum that's already there. And we had a very productive middle school, high school principal advisory tonight. It was a great conversation with some of the parents and how things are now blending from middle school and high school and the relationship to make it be a seamless transition with a focus on, you know, the ultimate goal of what your plan is, enlisted, enrolled, or employed as you graduate from Crestview local schools. And other than that, the homecoming plan and the musical plans are being submitted to the health department for approval, and that's about it.
Okay, would you be interested in telling us a little bit more about that Hellbender Salamander program? Because I'm sure that most are not familiar with what's going on, but just like at the elementary, that is an amazing opportunity coming to the high school kids and to collaborate with Southern Local too, right?
Yes, actually the opportunity was open to 4 districts and 2 of them declined. So all of the additional money they're splitting between our schools. And Mrs. Lee Master, she may want to talk even more about how it blends into the 5th grade curriculum, because they're going to be supporting the project part of it more.
Mhm. Can we actually, we're presenting in March, and my hope was to bring some of the student examples and share it as part of our presentation in March, if that's okay with you guys.
Of course.
Okay, they're doing the
Yeah.
kickoff on Monday. This coming Monday is the kickoff with students. So we'll have, I feel like we would have better observations and feedback from students that we could share in March, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. I think this is get a lot of financial grant support with collaboration with the ESC, and the things that are coming to our district specifically are just super exciting right now, I think, for education.
Yeah, the gentleman from the EPA was amazing and a great resource, and I think the kids are going to love it. And actually, I'm hoping that he's going to do a little career blurb for our 8th graders too, because he is very passionate about his job, and I think would be a plethora of knowledge for them.
Great. Okay. No, overshadow your presentation.
Thank you.
Mrs. Nappy, were you done?
Yes, I'm done for now.
Okay, thank you. Special education, Mrs. Gilbert.
We've been working on getting all of the accommodations uploaded for the juniors that are taking the ACT this year, for all students on an IEP or a 504 plan. And we've continued to bring in students while we're remote, students that need to work with maybe the intervention specialists or to get some of those related therapy services. And we're just really excited, as I'm sure everyone is, to get the students back in the building on the 19th.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, thank you. Mr. Cusick, I think, is at an athletic event this evening. Miss Wilms, I don't know if I saw her on. Are you here? No, I don't think she's here. Mr. Miller for technology, are you still present?
Yeah, I'm still here. Just real quick, we are wrapping up our outdoor wireless project. That was wrapped up today, and they're coming out next Wednesday to do a heat mapping, make sure we got coverage where we think we do outside now. So we between this school year, we've upgraded our internal wireless and also our external wireless now, and that included a bus garage area and playing fields and stuff like that. So keep you guys posted on that. I think we're presenting next month there with a little bit more information on that and how we were able to fund those projects. But other than that, just doing a lot of remote assistance and helping kids remotely and teachers on site, off site. So it's been flexing spreading ourselves thin. So going very well though.
Yeah, I'm sure your workload is far heavier right now. So thank you for that. Transportation, Mr. Burbick.
I don't have nothing further to add than what was on my report. But if you've got any questions for me, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
I don't. Does anyone else have any questions? No?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And maintenance, Mr. Radman.
Yes, a few things I'd like to talk about. First of all, during this time off, I wanted to say, thank you for allowing me to keep my staff busy and working. We got quite a bit accomplished. We recently just hired, I call them my super women, 2 women who have kind of came in and got us renewed, and we held some classes, and I let them lead them as far as the cleaning. Super job on what we've got accomplished. And, so I appreciate all that we've done. One of the things that we had a little bit of a problem with, quite a few roof leaks that last heavy rain, we had the middle school library, high school library had a major leak. So I think we got all of them repaired, and we're holding off and going to put some ceiling tile in the next couple of days, because we are really excited to get our kids back also. And I have been in contact with Barb. She's the engineer for the site engineer for the project, and she is one of the most professional women that I've worked with in all my years of doing any building projects. Very outstanding. We spent several hours going over on our options and what we need to do. One of the options was with our well, and when to tie the water in and how we're doing right now. For those of you that don't know, several months back, our wells quit producing, and one was the pump and one was check valves in the pump. So we were getting water pumped in 550 gallons daily, which added up pretty quick, as far as costs. So I called McKay and Gold, who are our well drillers, the ones who originally did our wells, and we came up with a plan. And I was very nervous because I didn't know if it would work, but we downsized the pumps and the lines and all new lines and put it in, and it's been working great since then. Right after we got it done that weekend, we had a major water break. Our 25,000 gallon water tank was drained, and the 2 new pumps that we have in our wells replenished it, and it's been working good ever since then. So I think we're going to have some options that I'm sure will be brought up, but I feel very confident again with how they are operating now. Both of them are alternating. We haven't had both of them working for 10 years, but now we got both wells working, and they are doing exactly what they were designed to do. And the plan that we came up with worked, which is good. So I was very happy with that. I feel that moving forward, there's some options that we have to do. And one of the options is that I want to still keep our plant to be able to water our soccer fields and several other things, because paying for the water, we use quite a bit of water. And so if we could use our plant to take care of those things, it would really financially help us out in the future. But that's it for me.
Great, thank you. Superintendent report, Mr. Manley.
Very good. And Mr. Radman, those wells are at 28 gallons a minute?
Yes.
And that which is about half of where they're supposed to be, right? 56 is ideal.
Yes, but both of them are working. Again, we only had one,
right.
And it was only producing at 18 gallons. Right now, not right now, both of those are producing 28 gallons a minute.
Right, which is better than we've been. The guard is once we get more kids in the building, will they hold up, and how quickly will the line get there, and to do that. So I'm
very confident that it will.
I'm
very confident that they will hold up.
Yeah, no, in that to do that. So we're in a delicate balance right now as we get there to make sure that we do not have to close school due to lack of water, like we've had to do a few times. But in my report, some great news. Number one, our students are coming back. Those that elect to are coming back January 19th. Right now, we're trending right at 80% coming back, which is very good. And that extremely good and strong. We are very hopeful that as we get to the 4th grading period, that percentage in person will increase even more. We've been working with the health department and the governor on their plan to prioritize school staff, and that to get school staff the ability to fight off this virus, and that to work hard to do that so that we can stay in school. It's 10 times more likely that we're going to be able to stay in school when they do return. Taking these 2 weeks were critical after the holiday so that we can stay in. Number one, there's help around the corner. And number two, the quarantine guidelines have changed, not because somebody willed them to change, but because the data and the information shows low transmission, not zero transmission, but schools are one of the safest places to be. And that because of the safety precautions, the cleaning crews that we have, that the things that we are doing make it one of the safer reasons to do that. So for example, if I was a student in a classroom and Mr. Radman was sitting near me 3 feet apart and we're both masked, we have our divider, we're masked, we're practicing the hand washing, I would need to leave with my COVID, but Mr. Radman would continue to stay in school without exhibiting any signs. That's what the data and information has been showing. Our kids have been less involved in contact, although it's not zero, they've been less involved. It has affected, the older you get, the more it's affecting you, would be a simpler way to explain it. And that to do that, but we have to be cautious because there are always exceptions to do that. We hope by the time we get to the 4th 9 weeks, our community is much more comfortable. 80% of them are comfortable right now, but hopefully we can get to 100% or near that come the 4th grading period and begin to get some normalcy back in the lives of our children and our community.
Can I about that real quick?
Yes.
So with these new guidelines, that should alleviate some of the strain of having to contact trace and go back to more people if we don't really have to track back to those in the household that may be affected, right? Is that correct?
That's correct. It will significantly change the tracing. And when you think about it, there were, I think we had one case in the fall that I remember, and I think it ended up quarantining over 50 children. Mm-hmm. So, you know, and that to do that. And we had about in the late fall near Thanksgiving where our staff went down and we didn't have enough staff. We had people doing that. So all those changes are coming in as long as you're masked. And the exception areas where it's going to be a little more work to determine will be physical education, of course, our athletic programs, because they are unmasked, and possibly the lunchroom and music and choir. But for your regular classroom, the contract tracing should minimize when the students come back. And Mr. Bowman, I hope I didn't cut you off.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Nope.
You can test out of quarantine now.
Correct, Doc. Would you like to explain that? You can take that and now too, if you are quarantined, you can test out. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, that was one of my frustrations in the past, is that, you know, we didn't have the ability to test out of quarantine.
Right.
And, you know, so especially the way with schools were, you know, if anybody in the household was positive, then you were quarantined and that was it, kind of thing. And, you know, some folks are going to practice social distancing a little different than others. You know, unfortunately, for my family, I've had to be very stringent with it just because of my job. So, you know, we actually have practiced social distancing in the house, including among family members, you know, for the most part, for a lot of months now. But under the old guidelines, you know, if somebody in here was positive, Kristen had no ability to be able to test out of quarantine, where now she can, which is good. You know, so if you're at least 5 days from exposure, you're asymptomatic, you get a negative test, you can come out of quarantine.
Absolutely. That's a great explanation today. Today, our administrators, our nursing staff met to go over all those guidelines to make sure we were on the same page when our students come back to do that. So we're feeling better that the students will be able to stay in school better and that under the updated guidance. So as this continues to evolve. Any questions on just the quarantine from any of the other board members? A couple of other updates. It was mentioned earlier, you know, we are so blessed in our county with people working together and within our school system with our board and staff working together, our administration. But I have to tell you, Charlene and I and Dan have been blown away by State Representatives Ruley and Ginter. They have met with us several times. As you know, the state OFCC just got more money, and right now they're trying to figure out how to distribute it. So we are in line waiting to get distributed, and they are helping us with that process. They're asking good questions. We're going through. We need a timeline. I mean, we're at the point where in schematic design, we are nearing blueprints and could be shovel ready to put people to work. OFCC has been granted an enormous amount of money. They're just trying to figure out how to distribute it and to who goes in what order. So we're hopeful by the end of the month, they'll be able to give us some guidance to say our state share is coming this year or it's coming early next year. That will allow us to plan. And since we are an ELP, that will allow us to start clearing ground and doing those things. So we're getting there. Charlene, would you like to add anything? Because, you know, I know you and I have talked, we're just blown away at how much time our local reps have spent with our school system.
I guess I would just reiterate everything that you said. You know, they represent a wide range of districts, and for them to take the time and come and sit down and listen to our concerns and truly understand what our concerns are has been very appreciated. I mean, I, along with Mr. Manley and Mr. Hill, I mean, you can't say enough about how hardworking they are for us, and I'm sure for all their other constituents too. So greatly appreciate everything that they are doing. I mean, when you sit in a meeting with them and they're getting a call back from the person we've been wanting to talk to the most, and they can put them on speakerphone and you schedule another meeting, that just kind of gives you like, wow, this process is hopefully working for us. We just appreciate it. So.
And in the state's defense, much like everything else, it's an uncertain time. And so, you know, how do you do these projects? But the one way to put the economy is to build infrastructure, and putting people to work in our community, much like the water line is doing currently, it will be a blessing to everyone involved. So we can't thank them enough. In my board report this week, you'll be getting a copy with the architects, the school system, 67 pages of schematic design. But I think the unique thing that you're going to notice as you look through this, many school districts turn in just the numbers in a chart in Excel form. Every number they have ties together how it affects educationally. And I think the architectural firm that you have hired to assist us with this project is a key. Sitting in with the state reps, the state, they're blown away by what they're able to offer. And, you know, I can't guarantee we'll get funded this year, but I can guarantee that the people we have right now know what they're doing. That has been clearly evident. Speaking of building, as you can see, coming up Crestview Road, the water line is making great progress. As Mr. Radman touched on, we're going to be working on a plan. How do we do it temporarily? We have to use you can't use chlorinated water on the fields. How does that all work in conjunction? And then will the water line be in the right place when the new building comes in to connect? Can connect now if needed in an emergency and later. So Mr. Radman and the firms and the engineering firms, we've been spending a lot of time working through that process so that we have a good plan ready for multiple situations. On a lighter note, life does appear a little more normal, even though it's different. Mrs. Nappy and her crew, Mrs. Kubis, can't thank them enough for providing an opportunity to do something for our children for homecoming. And the day after, on the 24th, there will be a benefit dinner for one of our high school kids with leukemia. He's a remarkable kid in the family that he is living with, the family that took him in. They're exceptional people. Our girls basketball program wanted to do a community reach out program. We'll be having a carry out spaghetti dinner from noon to 3 on Sunday, January 24th. You'll be able to buy tickets there. You'll be able to drive right up, much like we do for our food distribution during the day for our remote students. You'll be able to drive right up and get the dinners put right in your car. If weather allows, the Chinese auction will be out on the sidewalk. If it doesn't, will be a socially distant Chinese auction tables. The community is swarming in with gift baskets. We have an amazing group of people, an amazing community, but the medical expenses are enormous. So anyone who would like to eat a great dinner, hopefully they'll be seeing a local NFL team right after dinner on that Sunday. We hope, but regardless, we hope that they come out. So we've had very few outside activities. Hopefully this will be the beginning of some normalcy to do that. That concludes my report.
I can add to that really quickly. I can't actually see the specifics, but there was a visit to Akron Children's today, and there was some really great news from that visit. So things are looking up a little bit more positive in the right direction for him. So
yeah, he will be coming in tomorrow to meet with our tutor. And that because of the low immune system with treatment, we've been putting him in situations with people where there's limited contact to do that. And Mrs. Wellman, you might want to touch the family that's supporting him. They're amazing. I don't know if you can add to that a little more.
I mean, certainly anytime you're willing to take on another child as your own, and that's definitely what they've done, that is commendable. And to have then been hit with something like a cancer diagnosis, literally a week or two after he was under their guardianship, is just a shock to the system a bit. But the family has been adapting well, and you know, he has a lot of things to adapt to that are different for him, but also doing well. But I do know that today they had noted that all of the cancer had been attacked and is taken care of. No more bone marrow treatment. I don't think a chemo plan in place for 2.5 to 3 years still, but all of the cancer has been battled at this point. So no more steroid use. So those are all positive things for him that were causing some struggle. So things are looking up, but yeah, to the family, just amazingly commendable for what they're doing. So.
It is, and it's commendable to our community to support them. You know, these are the things we need to celebrate. We need to celebrate cancer-free. We need to celebrate and that the ability to come together and work together to help one another. So I know, you know, one of my resolutions is to celebrate more. This pandemic's not going to beat us down, and that we're gonna conquer it. We're gonna beat it, and we're gonna celebrate, and that to do that and enjoy and that because life is precious. So thank you. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. Next, superintendent requests not included in the consent agenda.
Yes, item number one, wish to thank the board and our OPSI Association, and that basically item number one says it's not a good year to negotiate. Things are uncertain. We've got bigger things to deal with surviving the pandemic. Let's roll the contract over. So item number one addresses that, and that to do that. So that's what's written before you.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve that?
This is Preston. I'll move.
And a second?
Joel, second.
Any discussion about that? Okay, roll call, please.
DiTilio? DiTilio? Is,
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
okay. Miller?
Yes.
Lively?
Yes.
Rainey?
Yes.
And Wellman?
Yes.
Item number two, we just have great people, great leadership. Our CEA committee, the board, we can't say enough how everybody has worked together. Item number two is our Teachers Association. They want the same thing. They want to roll it over. They said, hey, let's just continue to work together. Let's survive the pandemic. Let's keep the terms that have been in the other contract. And we'll talk later down the road when we know more. And in the meantime, we're just going to work together on behalf of our students. So item number two is to approve the memorandum with CEA for the same thing. And we thank both groups.
Great. Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Doug, so moved.
And a second? Second?
This is Preston. I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Lively?
Yes.
Miller?
Abstain.
Rainey?
Yes.
DiTilio?
Yes.
And Miller, or Wellman?
Yes.
Item number three, recommend that the board approve the resolution to participate in the OSBA Legal Assistance Fund.
Do we have a motion to approve?
This is Joel, so moved.
And a second?
This is Doug, second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Miller?
Yes.
Rainey?
Yes.
DiTilio?
Yes.
Lively?
Yes.
And Wellman?
Yes.
Item number four, recommend that the board approve the pupil activity contract following non-teaching personnel per year for the assignment designated below, which is CMS girls track coach Cynthia Straney.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Ed Miller.
And a second?
Joel, seconds.
Any discussion? Roll call?
DiTilio?
Yes.
Rainey?
Abstain.
Lively?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
And Wellman?
Yes.
Very good. The final item is this is School Board Recognition Month. And I wish we were in person to do this for those that are out in the viewing audience to do that. Our board committees, many of them meet at 6 a.m. in the morning before the workday even starts. Our board comes early, stays late, they roll up their sleeves, they get involved, they attend multiple meetings, multiple events, and that to do it, and they don't seek any credit. We have certificates soon to give you. It's a small token of the appreciation of everyone, and that for all the work that you do. You very often will not hear when you do a great job. You'll only hear from somebody when they're unhappy about something to do that. And that, so it's not always a thankful job. but you do it because you put the interests of children, community, staff above all else to serve. So we can't thank you enough for serving. We can't thank you enough for your dedication to continued programming for our children. So that resolution there is to thank you and to maintain there's nothing to vote on, but it is a resolution that our appreciation to the members of the board, the Crestview School District, we encourage all citizens and publicly and privately to thank a school board member in their community for their service in representing their community extremely well, and that to do that. Our Rebel Nation is very proud of your work. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, last item then is to adjourn. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
No move.
Who am I
In a
picking?
second? What? I have no idea who motioned that.
Ed.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you?
And second.
I'll take the second.
Okay, thanks, Preston.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great
Thank you. The
night.
next
Thank
meeting will
you.
be-
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.